Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be doing a Arakni Demi Hero wrap up, kind of talk about what I think about the power level of each Demi Hero, kind of the overall fun factor now that we have all 6 of the Demis spoiled. Just kind of give general takes, and also want to get your thoughts as well. But we'll get right into it. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully enjoy your stay. If you're a long-standing supporter, thank you so much as always. Feel free to check out the Discord as well as all the good stuff down below, and we will get right into it. So we have all 6 Demis spoiled, and this LSS has done an awesome job at spoiling these like once a day. Me and Reagan were joking every day when I got home from work that it's about to be Arakni o'clock, which was like 6 Eastern at the time they were releasing them every day, which was really cool. And we got, a plethora of different things. Before we get into each individual agent, one thing I really enjoyed about them was they're not niche. And this is something we predicted on the channel, so I'm glad that we were right on this, is like each agent has its own power level. There are one or two that are a little bit more, not niche, but a little bit more like less offensively powerful. However, every agent has a use case, and I'm glad they went with this. I'm glad it's not this super niche RNG-esque type hero. Like, yes, you're going to be rolling, so you don't know what you're going to go into, but I wouldn't be like unhappy with any of these roles, and I'm glad that they did this because it makes the hero a lot more competitively viable. The second thing, and this is just more of me nerding out, is the art on these is sick. I will be getting all of these in Marvel. I cannot wait. I'm glad I only have to get one of each. Otherwise, I mean, the pocketbook is already going to be freaking breaking as is, so the only fact that we only have to get one is really nice. But we'll get right into each agent. I'm going to bring them up a little bit more up here, as well as a card associated with them to kind of talk my way through and make sure I remember my points. The one thing, and I'll kind of talk about overall macro not game plan, but macro thoughts of Arakni Marionette at the end of this, so we'll wait on that. But the first one was Arakni Black Widow, or the first of the 6 in the like actual numbers. So if you roll a 1, if everyone remembers, Arakni Marionette above me at the beginning of your end phase, and if an opponent is marked, you become a random agent of chaos. So if you roll a d6 and you get a 1, you'll get Arakni Black Widow going into your defensive turn, and then get them for your next offensive turn. And it says, once per turn attack reaction, discard an assassin card. Target assassin attack gets +3. If it has stealth, it gets, when this hits a hero, they banish a card from their hand. At the beginning of your end phase, return to the Brood. So all of these say at the beginning of your end phase, return to the Brood, which means you'll return to be an Arakni Marionette. While we're on it already on the first one thing I love about all of these is 5 out of 6 of them have a +3 effect. But if you notice, all of them say discard an assassin card, target assassin attack gets +3 if it has stealth and then something happens. So if like it doesn't say target assassin attack action card, so we could either be, like we said before in other videos, we could either be getting a dagger with stealth, or we could be getting reactions that give cards stealth, or a combination of both. I hope it's the second one, because that would just be insanely powerful. Like, to be able to throw CNC at somebody, which is why I think it might not happen, because it'll just be super broken, but be able to throw CNC at somebody and then let's play a reaction, even a reaction that doesn't even give a buff. If it says if the opponent's marked, this attack gains stealth or something like that, and to give that CNC stealth and then give it +3 would just be insane by discarding a card. So you have a 9-power CNC. Unbelievable value. But regardless, we're gonna have a way of giving either weapons or card stealth. Like, it doesn't have to be an attack action card. So, but this card on face is probably the most powerful, right? Obviously, as you can see to your right, it's very similar to Surgical Extraction, where if it hits, and if it's a stealth and you discard it, then you can banish a card from their hand. Super powerful ability, probably the most consistently powerful from just a competitive standpoint. The card does need to have stealth, so naturally, your 3-power stealths are going to be coming in for 6 unless you have another way to buff them. But just the threat of, you go, let's say you end your turn, you don't get an arsenal, and then on their offensive turn they actually threaten a lot, and you block with 2 cards. You only have a 2-card hand going into your Black Widow turn. Being able to throw like Art of Desire Body for 3, and then say, hey, if you disrespect this, I'm gonna discard my last card. If it's an assassin card, that Art of Desire Body is now 6 on hit Surgical Extraction, right? And that's super powerful because, before, like on a 2-card hand with Surgical, you're not buffing, right? Like you need a 3-card hand minimum to make Surgical Extraction work. This card basically gives you a 2-card Surgical Extraction that's more powerful. So super happy about that. There's obviously some good like mid-range implications for this, and you're always gonna be happy when you roll this. This one's not too crazy in terms of like talking about it. Next one's Arakni Funnel Web. Really sick art as well. Once per turn attack reaction, discard an assassin card. Target assassin attack gets +3 if it has stealth. When it hits a hero, banish a card from their arsenal, then return to the brood. Again, this is Leave No Witnesses on a stick. Some people were like weirdly down on this card because they're like, okay, well, on your turn, if you're Arakni Marionette and you mark them and you don't eliminate the mark and you transform to this at the end of your turn, your opponent just doesn't arsenal or doesn't end on an arsenal or tries to use their whole hand. Now, while that is true to a certain extent, like the +3 is never not going to be something to discard, no pun intended, because like you have a 2-card 6 on stealth attacks, right? That's good enough, right? If I'm throwing Infiltrate at you, potentially, you know, getting that 2-card 6 and be able to play one of your cards, or I could potentially be playing like a Persuasive Prognosis for 4. Like there's always like other implied value, and also not every single opponent is going to be able to use or end on an arsenal, right? Like they could easily, you know, if you mark them and you don't threaten a whole lot, and maybe you end on an arsenal and they have like a 3 or 4 card hand, and maybe they're not an action point oriented hero like a Florian or like a Verdance or something like that, and either are they going to choose to IP themselves? And if they do arsenal, then that just helps you. Now, if it's an aggro hero that just throws their whole hand, you know, that's fine. They probably blocked a little bit to prevent your mark from hitting. So now you made them block a little bit, and you potentially made them not want to end on an arsenal. That's super good for implied value. So I don't have any problem with this card. I think it's really, really good. If anything, it gives you +3, and it's Leave No Witnesses on a stick, right? Like the card's extremely, extremely good. Then we have Arakni Orb-Weaver. This is the biggest question mark one. We have no idea how good or bad this card is yet. Graphene Chelicera, I'm probably still saying that wrong. Last night on stream, I was saying it wrong. Some people like gave me the correct pronunciation. So please, in the comments down below, YouTube, you are amazing at telling me when I pronounce things wrong, and I know I'm pronouncing it wrong this time, so please correct me down below. But regardless, whatever that attack is, costs you 1 less to activate. Once per turn instant, discard an assassin card, equip a graphene, I'm just going to say graphene, token. Your next attack with stealth this turn gets +3. At the beginning of your end phase, return to the brood. So we don't know what this is. Everyone is assuming it's a dagger. I think they're correct. My prediction is we're going to get this is the name of the dagger that we're getting. Whatever the on hit is, whatever it is what it is. But it's probably going to be a 2-for-1. So, you know, you're going to be able to swing. Maybe it's a 1-cost dagger, which would make it free, which would be insane, and would also make this Demi like exceptionally more powerful, right? Basically saying your daggers are free this turn. That would be really, really cool. But being able to discard an assassin card to equip a token. So I think this dagger is going to have a token rarity and a regular rarity, similar to how Hyperdriver is for Mechanologist. And this allows you to flick it away and then re-equip it without having to like hit with a concealed blade or something like that, which is very good, just to get that intrinsic value, especially if that dagger has an on hit. Like if this hits, because Flick Knife says flick away a dagger if it deals damage, the dagger has hit. So if it hits, maybe it marks on hit and you get your mark back, right? Or something like that. Also being able to just give +3 to stealth attacks is really, really good. Your next attack with stealth this turn gets +3. And again, if we can give our dagger stealth, either by naturally it having stealth or reacting on it and giving it stealth, you could buff that dagger that also is costing you less. So I'm really excited to see what the dagger is. It's going to make this card even better. It seems like to me that they ordered these in most to least powerful in their mind. Like Black Widow is obviously the most powerful. Funnel Web is very powerful as well. Redback getting go again is powerful, but it's a little bit situational on how many cards you have in hand. Tarantula I love a lot, but it just deals with daggers and then trapdoors with traps and defensive pieces. So for this to be number 3, I'm assuming it has a very powerful effect. So really excited to see what that dagger is, but it does have a Graven Call-esque like ability, and it'll be interesting to see what daggers we end up running. I hope Chaos gets their version of Beckoning Mistblade that does something significant on hit, like mark an opponent, or maybe it what was the other thing? Oh, gives the next attack stealth, whatever the case may be. I think that could be really, really cool. So really excited about that one. Then we have Arakni Redback. Once per turn attack reaction, discard an assassin card. Target assassin attack gets +3. If it has stealth, it gets go again, just unconditionally. You don't have to hit. This card's really cool. This is my favorite card from an art perspective. Super excited about this card getting a Marvel. But regardless, I like this card. This card's very powerful. Do not get me wrong, but this card forces you to have a 3-card hand. If you don't have a 3-card hand, then this card, I mean, it just gives +3 to your attack, which still could be very useful, right? I'm not discrediting that, but you're going to want at least a 3-card hand because you're going to want to attack with something, discard an assassin attack, give it +3, go again, and then attack with your 3rd card, right? So this is going to be, this honestly actually plays the best into what maybe a normal play pattern will be, which is Marionette. You attack with 3 or 4 cards, 2 or 3 cards. They don't let you hit, but you mark them. You randomly roll into Redback, drawing up 4 cards. Let's say they use 3 of their cards on defense to make sure you didn't hit. And then all of a sudden you have a full 4-card hand to be able to utilize Redback the best, right? So hopefully that's how that ends up working out. But this agent naturally probably won't like small hands, whereas Black Widow and Funnel Web can really utilize small hands really easily, and even Orb-Weaver, with what little we know about it, can utilize small hands. So can Tarantula. Redback requires a little bit more sauce, right? So Course of Tendency is a really good example of giving us go again. Arakni hasn't had a lot of go again. We don't have hiss like New does. We don't have this mixed go again package like Uziri can. So being able to have like more go again in the deck is very, very nice. So really excited about that one. Then we have Arakni Tarantula. I talked about this in my last video. I've waited until all the agents were revealed to talk about all the agents again. But I love this card. I think this card's super underrated. Whenever a dagger you own hits a hero, they lose 1 life. So if you flick knives, it deals 2 damage. Once per turn attack reaction, discard an assassin card. Target dagger gets +3. So this is a 2-card 7. And at low life totals, that's really scary for the opponent, right? Like if you pitch a blue, swing a dagger, discard your 2nd card, that dagger is now coming in for 4. If they didn't respect it, it's going to come in for 5 because it's going to deal additional damage. Then you flick knives in the reaction step to deal 2 more damage. So you have a 2-card 7 if your opponent wishes to not respect it. That's really, really good when your opponent's at single-digit life totals. Also, if our daggers have any type of decent on-hit, that's going to make it even better. Even a dagger like Spire's Bite, like being able to, I mean, imagine your Spire's Bite's coming in for 4 on hit 5 and -1 to their next block. Like, that's pretty good, right? So super excited about this one. This is Reagan's favorite art. She's kept saying she wants to get a tattoo of it. That'll be interesting to see if she ends up doing that. These would be sick to get a tattoo of. But regardless, then we have the 6th and final one, the one that was spoiled yesterday. When you become this, you may search your deck for a card, banish it face down, then shuffle. If it's a trap, you may play it until the start of your next turn. So the cool thing about this, when I originally read it, I thought maybe we'd be getting some way to play cards from banish just by the way it reads, but I don't think it's that. I think it's just a way to bluff to your opponent. So you're able to search a card and banish it face down, so your opponent can't see the card. You don't have to reveal the card to your opponent. It's not like Riptide. Riptide has a couple. Is it Plan for the Worst? It's Plan for the Worst than Murky Water, where they actually get to see all 3 traps. And then you reveal them, and then they don't know what the trap you kept is. Whereas this, like, you could banish a Sink Below, and they don't know, right? Or you could banish a card you really don't care about, and they don't know. But they might think you have a trap, and so that you can bluff your opponent. But also, you can utilize the traps themselves. This is really cool. So again, some people were down on this, but I really like this. I like on a turn. Let's just say our dagger ends up marking on hit, and we dagger for 1 and they don't want us, or we have a card that just naturally marks them anyway with them not being able to interact with it. Then you go in a trap door. If they have a 4-card hand, 3-card hand, you're able to go get a trap and now at least have a 6-card that's also a defensive piece. The biggest thing about trap door right now that's a little bit interesting is that we only have tech trap pieces right now. Like, we only have Frailty Trap, Blood Rot Trap, and Inertia Trap, and all of those are very situational, right? Like, Frailty Trap cares about go again, Inertia Trap cares about +1 on their attacks, and Blood Rot Trap cares about reaction. So if we can get traps, and we're going to get trap support in the set, they wouldn't do this if we didn't, I think. If we're going to get trap support in the set, I hope that at least one set of them is somewhat like main boardable, if that makes sense, where you could play it. However, you also could just look at it in terms of, instead of playing Sink Below in your deck, which most, Arachnis do, or instead of, maybe you play Sink Below, but instead of playing Fate Foreseens, you play a set of traps. Because the good thing about traps is you can discard your traps for the +3 on the discard an assassin card, because it is an assassin card. So there is some play in that. But yeah, that's most of the agents, or that's all the agents. The biggest thing with me before I rank them, I guess, is, and I have notes here just so I don't forget, so bear with me, y'all, if I look over into the nether and you don't know what I'm looking at. One of the biggest things is if marking is remotely consistent, I think which I think it has to be for this hero to function. I think you want to be marking almost every turn, ideally. At the least, you want to be marking every 2 to 3 turns, right? Not just threatening mark, but you want to find a way to hit a mark every 2 to 3 turns. If you can't, this hero is literally textless if you can't mark the hero, because your attacks with stealth are attacking. If your attacks with stealth are attacking a marked hero, get +1, and when this hits, this gets go again. And then if they don't get rid of the mark, then you transform. So if a hero is not marked, like actively marked, this is literally a blank assassin. So it needs to have a way to not just threaten a mark, but honestly get a mark every 2 to 3 turns. But if we do get that, I think this hero will aim to put opponents in a situation where it's like a lose-lose, right? Like you're coming with the Aura Desire body for 4, on hit go again. Maybe they don't want that to hit. If they do let it hit, then they get rid of their mark, but then you can attack with something else. So all of a sudden you're getting like good on hits with above rate attacks. Or if they don't let it hit, then you transform into a powerful Demi that gets +3 to attacks. And one of the biggest weaknesses, like air quotes, weaknesses, right, of Assassin is, it's always been like, do you have the reaction or not? And if you don't have the reaction, you become significantly less powerful sometimes. But in this hero, if we're constantly changing, with the exception of Trapdoor and a little bit Tarantula, like you're always going to, like imagine if you're playing against an Arakni, even Arakni Huntsman right now. Imagine playing Arakni Huntsman, but 80% of the time they have that cut to the chase red, right? Like that's super beneficial, and that's basically how this hero is going to function with the demis for the most part. So super happy to see the kind of the point of decision it's going to put at the opponent. The hero on face seems like a more like mid-range tempo-based hero, utilizing 2-card hands very effectively, getting basically 2-card 6s with on hits. But if marking is consistent on face, in my opinion, without even seeing the Majestics, this is the most powerful assassin. Like this allows you to have constant reactions, constant threat of go again with marked. Your stealth attacks are naturally always going to be above rate, which even Nu can't do unless she constantly is drawing her hiss and venomous bites. The end game in this hero seems like it'd be really, really powerful. So yeah, that's just my opinion. From a micro perspective, alongside cards that mark, I think Arakni will have a dagger or evergreen equipment that can give marks. This whole set is based around mark, right? Like Syndra wants to mark in order to create a fealty token, hit a marked hero. Fang wants to hit a mark in order to make his daggers less costly. So I think it's similar to Transcend, where like in Mistveil, transcending, if you want to, you could do it almost every turn. And I think marking's going to have that ability too. And it's got to be somewhat like threatening to a mark, but also there's got to be a way in the set where you can, like similar to the Draconic Instant we've seen, where you have to on rate be able to mark people. Otherwise, these heroes are just really, really bad, right? We all think that Graphene is a dagger. It'll come in token rarity and non-token rarity, similar to Hyperdriver. And the last kind of micro card specific take I had was the dagger will either have stealth on it or a way to be given stealth, because the +3 stealth attacks but not attack action cards makes no sense to word it otherwise. When it comes to the agents themselves, I'm a mix a term of competitive and fun factor here. My most favorite one, it's really hard here. Black Widow has to be the first one, like, because the competitive aspect of this is just too good, right? It's just too good. But it also has good fun factor into like being able to utilize small hands and being able to, make the most of, what you're doing. So I think Black Widow for me is probably the best of the 6. I think my next favorite one, and this is going to be a little bit weird, is actually probably Tarantula. I just love the fact of being able to buff daggers. I love that low life total, like lose-lose situation you put your opponent in, and I think that could be really, really cool. My next one I'm super excited about is actually probably Orb-Weaver. Orb-Weaver, just because I'm excited to see what this dagger does. I really am excited to see kind of where they take this dagger and what the on hit is. Then we probably, for me, it's probably, again, Trapdoor. I'm mixing a little bit of like fun factor here. I'm really excited to see what traps they bring into this set. I think they'll bring in some cool traps, and I'm excited to see that kind of differentiating play style. For me, then it's probably Redback like this, if we're doing it like this, and then professional YouTuber here. This is the way I decided to do this. And then probably Funnel Web. Like, yes, Leave No Witnesses on a stick is great. I'm not downplaying the ability, but in terms of like mix of fun factor and competitive, that's kind of how I rank the agents themselves. But regardless, this is an awesome hero. I'm super excited to like just no life this hero. Arakni Huntsman has become my favorite hero in the game, and I think that this hero is going to become like my new favorite hero. And I'm really excited to see kind of how it unfolds, what Majestics we get, also what Chaos cards we get. Like, I want to see cool Chaos cards. I want to be able to, you know, because this deck's going to care about Assassin cards for that discard mechanic, but if we can get cool Chaos Majestics that do fun things, like even Spurlocked isn't the most competitive card, but I want to run one of it just to have it. Like, you gotta, you know what I mean? So let me know what your thoughts are down below. I'd love to hear it. Hopefully we get the sealed primer soon so we can figure out what that dagger does. Maybe it'll be today at the time you're watching this. Who knows? They don't really have a date on that section, which is a little bit nerve-wracking. But regardless, they did a great job at revealing these. Super excited to see the rest of the set. Love to hear your thoughts on it. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for stopping by again. If you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. If not me, it's completely fine. On my homepage, if you're watching my channel for the first time, I also have a video that shows like a list of content creators on an Excel spreadsheet that you can look at. I don't have every creator on there. I'm constantly trying to add creators onto it, but it's a good resource if you're wanting to find other creators in the game. So yeah, thank y'all so much. Y'all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see y'all next time.